Good morning, boys and girls. Now, before we get started on our revolution today, the revolution is going to start today with us breaking away from Britain. I want to go back a little bit to our assignment from yesterday and just refocus again on what it means with the cause and effect. I want to help you with this just to make sure we're doing our absolute best work on these assignments. Now, when we talk about cause and effect, there are going to be two main words that I like to use to help us kind of go back and forth between these two. Going from cause to effect, we're going to use the conjoining word of so. Going from effect to cause, we like to use the word because. Okay, so for example, the tree fell down because it was windy. Or you could flip it to say it was windy, so the tree fell down. Our cause, is going to be the why part of a statement, and the effect is going to be the what. So why it happened, and then what actually did take place. So thinking about what we talked about yesterday with our tea parties, those are going to fall under more so of the what, because it was the action of what happened. How those colonists protested the British taxes. So they had the tea parties because the British government was taxing them for the French and Indian War. Okay, so I hope that helps a little bit with your teacup and your tea bag from yesterday. If you need to go back and fix anything, please feel free to. You're welcome to unsubmit the assignment, turn it back in. You're welcome to ask for a new one. I have some extra copies too for my face-to-face friends if you need one. Alrighty, friends, so moving on to our notes for today. Our revolution is going to begin. So we are going to title our notes of The Revolution Begins. Please make sure we are taking these notes down, my friends. If you did not get the notes from the past few days, make sure we're grabbing those because you will have a test on all of this next week. So I want to make sure that you have all the information in front of you. We're going to start first and foremost by talking about what is a revolution before we dive into our war and some of the events that take place. Now, we're not going to get through the entire revolution today. It is a long battle. We are going to talk about specific battles in North Carolina, as well as some other, important battles in other colonies as well. So a revolution, my friends, the definition that we're going to use is a sudden, complete change of government. So what you saw in the video yesterday, how it ended after the Tea Party, or the Schoolhouse Rock video, was when the colonists were getting rid of the King George pictures and putting up the other gentleman. The other gentleman at the end of the video that was represented is George Washington. He was our first president. He played a significant part in the revolution as well, that we can talk about next week. So the first event that we are going to talk about today, my friends, is on April 19th, 1775. Now this battle is going to take place in Boston, Massachusetts again. Okay, going to take place up north in the northern colonies. But this battle is significant because it was where the first shots of the revolution were fired. So British soldiers fought, and I'm just going to abbreviate for today, the Massachusetts. Okay, we wrote that out yesterday. I'm just going to abbreviate to the Massachusetts militia. And for those of us that don't know what militia is, that is a volunteer army. A volunteer army. So these were not soldiers. These are people who willingly volunteer to help fight for the cause of us breaking away from Britain. Okay, so they fought in Lexington and Concord up in Massachusetts. It's close to Boston where the Tea Party took place. And again, this is where the first shots were fired. Okay, first shots of the war are fired. So that's a very significant place. Even though it doesn't happen in North Carolina, is significant to remember for that reason alone. Now moving down into North Carolina, just a few weeks later in May, little over a month later, May 20th of 1775, people from Mecklenburg County declared their independence. Okay, so it is said that people from Mecklenburg County declared their independence, and they ultimately did sign a document, which is now known as the Mecklenburg Resolves. So this was signed, the Mecklenburg Resolves was a document or official statement that they signed declaring their independence from Britain. In Mecklenburg County, there is a monument, a remembrance of what took place on that day and in that place, so you can go and visit there as well. Okay, so this was very significant because these were the first colonists to officially have a written document. Other people had said it, but Mecklenburg County, those colonists were the first ones to officially write it down in a document. So we'll come back to North Carolina, and more specifically in a little bit, and talk about how North Carolina is very important in this war and why they're remembered so much in the American Revolution. A lot took place in North Carolina that you may not know about, so I'm excited to tell you about it. Now, before we get into our last event, our last battle that you guys are going to also be able to watch a video about today, I want to clarify something before we talk about the last event. There are two types of people that now come out in these conflicts and in these battles. Those are going to be the patriots and the loyalists. A patriot was a colonist who supported the revolution. I'm going to go over just a little bit. A colonist who supported the revolution. So patriots were ones who wanted to break away from Britain. Now a loyalist, on the other hand, and we can kind of know what they're going to be just by their name, it is a colonist who stayed loyal to Britain. Okay, so ultimately this did turn into kind of an American versus American. Patriots and loyalists were fighting each other in these battles, along with some British soldiers that came over to help support the loyalist cause. The last event that we're going to talk about today does take place in North Carolina. It is also a place that you can go and visit. Again, after we are done with our notes today, there is a short video that you can go and watch as well to learn more about what actually took place and what was documented, as to how one of these groups defeated the other. I'm not going to tell you who wins. Alrighty, my friends, or how they win, So we're going to abbreviate just real quick with North Carolina. Okay, this does take place in NC with North Carolina. The North Carolina Patriots defeat a group of loyalists at Moores Creek Bridge near Wilmington. So it's near Wilmington, North Carolina. Again, Moores Creek Bridge is a place that you can go and visit. They do some reenactments there as well. You can actually go stand on the bridge where this battle took place and how the Patriots and Loyalists were able to fight each other. And then ultimately, again, the Patriots did win. I'm not going to tell you how they win. That is in the video that you can now go watch once these notes are taken down. All right, friends, once you make sure you have your notes, make sure you go watch the video about Moores Creek Bridge. It's really, really informational and wonderful. And then please make sure you are completing your assignment today. Your assignment today is very short and sweet. I simply just want to know, if you had happened to be alive during the start of the revolution, would you have chosen to be a patriot or a loyalist? And make sure you tell me why. If a patriot, why would you have chosen to support the revolution, breaking away from Britain? If you're a loyalist, tell me why you would have chosen to stay with Britain, with King George III. Alrighty, my friends, have fun today. Make sure we have everything done and submitted, and I will continue this unit with you guys next week. Have a great weekend.